issues today. First one, Steve Sipple.
Hey, Scott, a couple things. Do you think you win that game without stronger special teams? Or, I mean, how do you feel about the way that the special teams played in the game Saturday?
It was a step in the right direction from the week before. Kind of similar to the other two units, offense and defense. We did some good things, some really good things, and some things we can get a lot better at. So I was pleased with the improvement, but still some things to fix, and it's always better to do those after you win a game.
You also mentioned after the game, Scott, that the whole state could see the improvement on defense. Did Coach Chenander, was there any change in his approach going into this season, or anything significant that you saw on that side that changed in maybe the coaching staff's approach?
I don't think so, Sip. I'd say they worked really hard in the offseason, but they've been doing that. I think it's just the process of rebuilding the program and getting some more talent, some more speed. The guys learning scheme, being able to play a little faster, being more sound, making fewer mistakes. I'm really impressed with the way we're running and hitting right now, and that speaks to who the guys have recruited and how they're being coached, and just the character of the players and the effort they're giving.
Okay, thank you.
Brian Christopherson.
Hey, Scott, a couple nuts and bolts things here. You guys moved over to the west sideline for this game. Was there any significant reason for that?
I wondered if anybody was ever going to ask me. Yeah, I guess somebody told me Coach Devaney moved us to east in '62. That's the home sideline to me. But with no fans in the stands, it's just kind of an empty barn in there. It's not a lot of fun. We need the fans back, but it's real easy with us signaling things in for people to be able to see the east sideline from the coach's box. And I wanted to make sure we did everything we could to protect our signals, particularly when there's less chaos in the stadium.
A couple of receiver questions. Is Oliver Martin eligible now, and what's Omar's status?
Yeah, Oliver Martin got eligible, so we'll start letting him compete for some time. He's a talented kid. We're glad to have him. He just hasn't gotten a lot of reps because he wasn't eligible. We just can't seem to get Omar healthy, so we got our fingers crossed, but he just hasn't been healthy.
Thank you.
Parker Gabriel.
Scott, sort of a general question offensively. Where are you at in the big picture compared to where you want to be, and what's the next thing, I guess, that you need to take a step forward in to be more efficient throughout the course of the game?
We're not going to be happy until we're scoring more efficient, doing some really good things. I just got done with a unit meeting with the offense, and we reviewed the game, and I think the guys are able to see little things that they could do and should be able to do, fixing some things to sustain a few more drives. So I think we're on the right track, but you're never completely happy, and we got to keep getting better. I think as coaches you get frustrated because you want it perfect right now, and I mentioned this, but I think we counted 10 first-year players that played significant amount for us last year, and it seems like we've been young 3 years in a row because of the turnover at some positions and the recruiting we've done to get some new athletes in here, but it just takes those guys a while to know all the assignments and details they need to for us to be a little more efficient, and we're working at that every day.
And one quick follow-up, if I could, about one of those first-year guys, Marvin Scott. What do you like about him? I mean, we haven't seen him get the ball in his hands a lot of times so far, but it seems like from an outsider's perspective, it seems like he has a pretty good handle on what his responsibility is.
Yeah, he needs to keep learning and make sure he knows the whole scheme because he's earned the right to play a little bit more. He hasn't touched the ball a lot, but that's kind of how it goes. Your first year, you get a few chances, and if you take advantage of them, you get more. I called him after the game on Saturday night because he made 2 or 3 good runs, but he made the key block on Xavier's long touchdown. and another third down where Luke threw the ball left-handed and he made somebody miss and got a first down for us. And those two games potentially could have won the game for us. So I told him how happy I was for him.
Sean Callahan.
Hey, Coach, can you just size up that running back position a little bit more? I mean, are you comfortable going to Wandell as much as you did? And I mean, do you have somebody else that you feel can get you 15 to 20 a game if a guy like Diedrich is not able to do it for you with his injury?
Yeah, I'm happy with that room. I've seen significant improvement in that room. Ramir's doing good things. Ronald's doing good things. Marvin's there. Savion's been nicked up a little bit, but coming back. And we'll always use Wandell as a change-up and make sure he's getting the ball in his hands enough. Wandell was so close to popping a couple runs for big plays for us, and he's just dynamic. So if we need to hand it to him, we'll hand it to him. But, you know, Millsy's done a good job, and those young guys behind him just continue to improve.
And then how big of a pleasant surprise was it to get Jack Stahl back out there? I know he only played a handful of plays, but I'm guessing you weren't expecting him back this quickly based on how that injury looked at Ohio State.
Yeah, I saw him in the hallway yesterday, and I told him it wasn't bad for being 80%, and he said, "Frosty, that's being generous." So he went out there and gutted it out, and he made made a key block on Xavier's touchdown too, and did some other good things. But hopefully he'll be closer to 100% this week.
Sam McEwen.
How did Luke McCaffrey take having his game examined for a whole game and kind of working through that process with you and Coach Purdue?
You can't take it any better. Luke's the type of kid that lives in the office, always watching film, always trying to get better. So he takes coaching as constructive criticism, and he wants it. He wants to continue to improve, and that's the type of people that you want to coach.
With those young guys, you mentioned having to be patient. Do you have to remind yourself, especially on offense, that there may be things they just don't know because they're so young and they're so new to the program?
Yeah, I just had that conversation with Coach Lubick. You know, playing some of these young guys, you know, there's just a couple blocks that we didn't block the right guy, or plays would have popped. A couple places where we weren't quite in the right place in the pass game. Missed a protection on a key third down right at the end of the game with a young running back. So, man, those things, luckily those things didn't cost us a game, but you can't fix all those things in one day. So all you can do as a coach is continue to teach and teach and teach, and try to get those guys a little bit better every week.
Mitch
Sherman. He's got a pretty notable difference in the way you guys started defensively on Saturday. How important was that to not just the score, but to the impact it had on the sidelines and allowing you guys to to play the way you wanted even on offense?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that brings energy to a team like success on defense and getting big hits and getting stops. That inflates offenses, it inflates special teams, makes everybody want to play harder. And like I said before, I think that's the thing I'm most impressed with the defense right now is the effort they're giving. There's some big hits out there when you're on the sideline and listening to those collisions. If we keep doing that, we'll get hit on some things, but defensively, you got a chance when you got that many guys running the ball and delivering hits like that.
Hey, one other thing on McCaffrey, you mentioned the left-handed throw. Are you okay with that when you go over film with him and improvising the way he did?
Yeah, I'm okay with it because it worked. I told him this morning, I never want to curtail their creative ability as football players, but you just have to know when to do those things and when not to, and be smart with the football. Several of our quarterbacks have ability to make plays. You just have to be disciplined when doing those things and make sure they don't turn into negative plays.
Kevin Suits.
Scott, I know you're all about practicing hard and coming to work every day and getting better day by day, but was there a different vibe that you noticed when you guys took the field this morning?
Yeah, I think the guys are excited. The key for us is, we're playing another good team. They got their first win just like we did. Guys in this building can't win one and relax. They have to let that elevate them and go back out on the field and and work that much harder to get even better, and keep moving this ball down the field. And I think the team's mentality is in a good place.
Evan Bland,
Hey, Scott, I just wanted to ask you about JoJo Doman. I mean, playing 90-plus snaps last Saturday. How hard is that to do as a defender, and what makes him such an invaluable piece to this defense?
Yeah, JoJo's, first of all, been a good teammate. Second, really athletic guy and very versatile. So we can ask him to do a lot of things. We can ask him to play the edge and rush. He used to be a DB, so he can drop into coverage. He can play zones for us. That's why he's out there so much, because he can do so many different things. But, JoJo's probably bugaboo before was just making sure his eyes were good and he was disciplined in the right place all the time. And that's been a lot better this year. And I think he's reaping the rewards of that.
Derek Peterson, Varsity.
Hey Scott, you said after the game that everybody in the state could see the defensive improvement that's been made. Can you just speak to the kind of teacher that Eric Chenander is, and maybe the level of respect that the players have for him and where that comes from?
Chin's a really likable guy. I think the best teachers are good communicators, and Chin's is a really good communicator. The players like him, so they want to play hard for him. And Coach McBride was that way when I was here. Man, he was tough and would yell and scream, but the players would run through a wall for him. And he made it clear to them what he wanted and what he expected. We're certainly not there. There's a lot of things we need to improve, a lot of standards that need to be raised around here so we can do things even better. But I think the message is starting to get home to the guys, and their play on the field reflects that.
Thank you.
Steve Sipple.
Hey, Scott, this might sound kind of funny, but what is the plan at quarterback this week? Will it be similar to last week, where it's a competition, or how are you approaching it with Adrian this week?
Yeah, it's going to be the same, and it'll always be the same. Whoever gives us the best chance to win is going to be out there, and whoever practices the best makes us confident as coaches that they give us the best chance to win. Thought Luke's performance for his first start was really solid. I expect him to go out and practice great, but Adrian had a good week of practice last week too.
Is there now Adrian didn't see the field. If he were the backup again this week, could that possibly change?
Yeah, I think that could change. Some of the things we've done with two guys on the field are still available to us.
Thank you.
Parker Gabriel.
Scott, again, so with Luke, there's different styles of leadership that can be effective, but everyone brings up his energy. I mean, from your eyes, what kind of difference does that make, and how does his energy have a positive impact on his teammates?
Yeah, Luke's energy is infectious. His competitive nature is infectious. That makes guys want to play alongside of him, and that's really what you want your leaders to be. The guys out front should be the ones most dedicated to it and working the hardest. And when your best players are the hardest workers and the most dedicated, the team will follow. So Luke sets a good example from that standpoint. He works as hard as anybody in the building, and certainly cares as much as anybody in the building.
Sam McEwen.
Hey, Coach, we'll ask Chenander about this tomorrow, but you guys have used, 15, 17 guys on that front seven, and you guys have kind of used some different defensive formations too, where a couple things where you might only have two defensive linemen out there and a bunch of outside linebackers. What if any input did you have on kind of developing that over the off season, and how do you feel like it's worked?
I had a little to do with it, but not much. I think the key there is just trying to get guys in positions to do what they're the best at. There's some outside linebackers that are better at rushing the passer, and when we get an even fronts on third down, they're going to be playing there. Some guys that are better at setting the edge and odd fronts, and that defense had to play 91 snaps, I think, on Saturday. That's a lot of snaps for anybody to take. Hope we don't play another game where we snap the ball 60 or 30 times less than another team. We're not used to playing those types of games, but when you're playing that many snaps, you need depth and you need a lot of guys rolling, and they've done a good job developing guys to be able to go out on the field so we can continue to rotate those guys. And but I think they've done a good job using guys in certain groups and situations to highlight what they do best.
Thank you.
Couple more quick ones, Brian Christopherson.
Hey Scott, how do you feel about how your young guys, Ben Hart and Piper in particular, have done on the O-line? And is Piper kind of solidifying himself at that guard spot?
Yeah, I feel comfortable with several guards, and even a couple that haven't played have done a really good job in practice. Bo's done a really good job for us. Piper's done a really good job for us. Matt was back at guard with Cam back at center. I think Trent Hickson is capable of playing any time. Bando's capable of playing any time. So we're starting to get some depth there. And, you know, the young guys have done well considering they're freshmen. It's their first action. Said this before, but would have really helped us with some of those guys to have a non-conference schedule and get some games under our belt and some experience for those guys before we play teams like Ohio State and Northwestern and Penn State. But given the circumstances, they're battling. I know they'll continue to get better and be really good players for us.
All right, finish up, Gabriel.
Hey Scott, two-parter on Illinois. That struck me as being a pretty physical game last year when you played them there. What have you seen out of that defense so far? And then on the other side of the ball, how hard is it? I mean, they've had the 21-day situation with some guys. I mean, it seems like they're going to maybe play different depending on who the quarterback is this weekend.
Yeah, first of all, I compliment Lovey for one being just an exceptional person and a really good coach. They hit the crap out of us last year. We ended up winning the game, but the guys were sore after. They did a good job running and hitting. They hit our receivers, played physical up front, and you wouldn't expect anything less from a Lovey Smith coach team. Yeah, you know, I know they're dealing with a lot of contact tracing and stuff because of state rules that maybe some other people aren't dealing with. I give them credit for playing the games they've played despite missing some guys. I think that says a lot about who they are and who Lovey is. Challenge for us is to not really knowing who's going to play and who's going to be out there for them and maybe what they're going to do on offense depending on who's playing quarterback. So we're going to have to get ready for multiple things.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Thanks, guys. Thanks for bearing with us on the technical stuff. Talk to you tomorrow.